Miranda, you're up next. Laura, Conaway.
All right, I'd like to talk about what's wrong with perfect, and this is something that I just want to say first of all, thank you guys for talking about this with me because I care about it a lot, and I find that it's hard in a corporate context to talk about it at all. This is the North American domesticated honeybee, okay? Everybody likes the bee pollinates our crops, it gives us honey that we like, and because honeybees are domesticated, they will actually choose to live in environments that we build for them. They'll live anywhere, but they like to live in this kind of thing right here. This is a Langstroth hive, and the trick here is that it has these frames that are 3/8 of an inch apart. They are perfectly spaced. And domesticated honeybees will live in this, and they will make honey in a way that we like. But they are not the only kind of bee that we have or that we need. This is a mining bee. There's like 1,300 varieties of the mining bee, and they're actually more effective pollinators than the domesticated honeybee. They don't make a whole lot of honey, but they are great pollinators. They need to live in places like this. This is a photo my son Nathaniel took on our block. Mining bees need to live in what we would basically call wasteland. They need to live in imperfect, unpaved spaces. They want to burrow into the ground, that's why they're called mining bees, and that's where they are. This is my boss. This is the world I live in. I live in kind of a paved world, right? With like special effects and fancy cameras, and we're kind of always going for perfect, right? We don't always get there, but that's the idea. A couple years ago, we decided that we would build a blog because what we wanted was an imperfect space. And everybody kept saying, you want this nice thing? No, we want this blog. We want something that hangs out all over the place so that we can try things and break things and maybe even get people to work on stories with us. So this is one of the first things that we did back during the BP oil spill. We had people make up funny slogans for BP, like this one says hubris because it's so much cheaper than safety. And we got enough of these going that we were able to use this stuff on the show. So this is the secret of my personal work. It's a production pyramid in my head. Okay, this is why I blog. Because you can go from a tweet, something that somebody sends you, a piece of junk, put a little work into it, it climbs up the pyramid, maybe you get a blog post. At the top you get a show, right? If you want people in the audience or your readership to work with you on something, it is very helpful if that something is not already perfect when you start, if it is imperfect. Because perfect really just means done. That's it. Nothing more can happen. For instance, sharks. Sharks are perfect. Sharks evolved into being sharks many thousands of years ago. They're already perfect, and I'm sure they're perfectly happy about being perfect sharks. Any more change for them at this point, any more evolution would be a waste. So they don't change and they don't grow. This kind of thing, I can grow. This is a screen grab somebody sent us, a viewer sent us from the Virginia DMV. It's the Planned Parenthood plate, Trust Women, Respect Choice, and you can personalize it. And they sent it to us at a time when the Virginia legislature was passing a law that said you had to have an invasive ultrasound if you wanted to get an abortion. So people started playing with this on our blog, and they made these really funny license plates. Like this one says, no probe, and there were others that were like, no VP for you, which meant for the governor who desperately wanted to be vice president. And then some other people took and made actual Photoshop vaginal probes. And this one at the top says, I can see the White House from here. And I think the one below it says, this violation courtesy of the Virginia GOP. And then they kept growing this story in our little imperfect space. Somebody actually bought this tag and put it on their car. And Rachel says that this says Virginia with a Y. I say it says something that you can't actually say. But there it is right there. And that was so awesome that we put it on the show, okay? So this is where the kids said to the mom, no, you need to rock that, Mom, this Virginia with a Y tag. This is what happens when you have an imperfect space. When you start with something awful, you can grow it. Imperfection makes room for change. And I just want to say, actually, the guy who, I think, sort of taught me this in a way, is Mike Davis back there. He actually invented our blog, and he was the guy who said, no, I know what you want. You want this ugly little blog that's very imperfect. When I look out in the world right now, what I see is perfection is actually winning the internet. And I don't think it's wrong that it's winning the internet. This is Wonk blog. It's my friend's blog over at the Washington Post. It's like the Hive. It's got those little perfectly spaced panels. And when you go inside it and you lift one of the frames, the content is filled with honey. It's extraordinarily rich. This kind of blog lives very well inside a perfect world, right? The problem for me is that that's not why I do it, and not everybody does it the same way. I am a mining bee. I need to live in the dirt. I need to live in the weeds a little bit. This is when people were sending us pictures they took on their cell phones of early voting lines. We didn't even know what it meant or why. There was almost no reporting on it. But we kept threshing these things until it became really clear to everybody that we had a national problem with how we vote. And the president said, by the way, we have to fix that. And to me, that's the top of the production pyramid right there. Like, you cannot get higher than the president saying that. So what I want to ask for from the design community is if we could just leave spaces for unpaved, imperfect work, because it can be beautiful and productive. Thank you.